The mathematical functions in Google Sheets allow you to perform calculations with large sets of data. You can do some really nifty things with formulas in Google Sheets, but this video will only look at a few of the basic functions to get you started. Make sure you have the practice sheet open so you can try it out as you watch the video. If you click on the capital letter sigma in the toolbar, you will see some of the most popular calculations. We will cover the sum, average, and count functions, which are all included here. You can click on these functions to begin a formula, or you could also write a formula in a cell by clicking on the cell and typing an equal sign. This indicates that you will be using a formula. Notice that each cell has a letter and a number that correspond to it. Cell J2 means that it is in column J and row 2. In the total points column, I want to add the 3 lesson scores in cells G2, H2, and I2. I can use the sum function to do that. If I type the equal sign followed by sum, I get a list of formulas that show up below. Choose the sum formula and notice that it gives you an explanation of how the formula works. This is helpful if you need a quick reminder. I can click and drag to select the cells that I want, close the parentheses, and then press enter to perform the calculations. You could repeat that process for each of the cells below in the total points column, or you could simply click on the box in the bottom right corner and drag it all the way down to repeat the formula. Notice that it applied the same formula but changed the number depending on which row it was on. Let's find the average GPA by clicking on the cell below the data and typing in equals average. You could write the function completely on your own, or you could select the average function from the list that appears. Click and drag to select all of the data in the list, close the parentheses, and then press enter. If I drag the formula to the right, it will apply the formula to those columns and calculate the average score for each lesson. You can use mathematical operators such as plus, minus, divide, and multiply in your formulas as well. We can use subtraction to see improvement from lesson 1 to lesson 2. In cell K2, I will write equals H2 minus G2. I can then apply this formula to the whole row to see improvement for each student. We can create composite functions which combine 2 or more functions. To calculate the percentage, I need to calculate their total score and divide by the total points possible. I can use the sum function to find the total, and then I will divide the number of lessons multiplied by 4, since they're each worth 4 points. This is essentially how your gradebook calculates the percentage. To count the number of lessons, which should be 3 in this case, I can use the count function. There are 2 options, count and count A. The count function counts numeric values, and count A counts non-numeric values, like the number of birthdays or how many girls there are. The formula would be equals sum G2 to I2 divided by, open parentheses, count G2 to I2 times by 4, close parentheses. The formula is a little more complex than it needs to be, but it's important to see how formulas can be combined together. I left comments in the cells in the second row for reminders in case you forget the formulas. You can leave a comment in a cell by selecting the cell and then clicking on the comment button. This is helpful if you want to leave a note but don't want to replace what's in the cell. There is much more to be said about formulas in Google Sheets, but that should be enough to get you started. You should be able to find a sum, average, and a count in a spreadsheet. Keep practicing with the formulas on the practice sheet and see if you can figure out something that we didn't discuss in the video.